Thank you for joining us for our Solid Edge Built-in Design Management series. This is the first part of our two-part Solid Edge and Team Center Data Management series. My name is Elise Woods, and I'm one of the marketing specialists here, and I will be your host for today. Just a little bit on Swoosh. We've been a leading provider and partner of Siemens PLM for over 11 years. Our team is dedicated to providing you the best software solutions, technical support, and process-based training to help you design and manufacture better. Our commitment to changing the way designers and manufacturers learn and leverage PLM tools has been a major focus for us and will continue to be our goal moving forward. Presenting today is application engineer Sam Estrada. With a career spanning nearly 2 decades, Sam is a leading application engineer with Swish Technologies and a certified Teamcenter specialist. His focus is to help your team collaborate more effectively with accelerating industry design processes through your product lifecycle. In this two-part series, we will show you how you can enjoy built-in design management for instantaneous searches, easy revisions, and release management, and optional cloud-based vaulting with Solid Edge ST9. We will show you how you can get your system running in as little as an hour and have the flexibility to grow to full PLM capabilities with Teamcenter. During this presentation, if you do have any questions, please feel free to add these into the questions box in your GoToWebinar panel. We will try to answer all your questions once the presentation is over, and we will keep your questions anonymous, so feel free to ask away. Okay, so I'm going to go over and pass this over to Steve, and he's going to start his presentation about what we can look forward to with Solid Edge and Teamcenter. And then once he's done, we're going to send it over to Sam, and he's going to give us a little demo of what we've been talking about.
Thank you, Elise, and thank you all for attending. So the folks that are out there might be familiar, or that are already familiar with Solid Edge, might be aware of some of the different things we've done over the years to accomplish data management or design management within Solid Edge. The first one was the built-in revision manager, which everyone is probably familiar with for use for copying files, fixing broken links, and doing various rudimentary design management activities. And about 10 years ago, we came out with a SharePoint solution called Insight, and Insight was meant to work for some of the smaller Solid Edge customers. However, it's been scaled up. We've got customers using it with 50+ licenses. So, but generally speaking, if you look at the chart there, on the vertical axis, you see the requirements. I call those data management requirements, and seat count in terms of Solid Edge licenses on the horizontal. And that Insight, as well as SharePoint, is mostly an out-of-the-box solution. It's for pre-configured workflow, pre-configured release management, and both SharePoint solutions, Insight and Solid Edge SP, require Microsoft SharePoint, the Microsoft SQL database, and Active Directory. If we slide up in terms of seat count and requirements, we've introduced about 3 years ago or so the Teamcenter Rapid Start product, and I would, instead of a design management solution, I would call this more of a product data management. Whereas the SharePoint solutions were focusing, on parts, assemblies, and drawings. Now we're getting into requirements documents, quality documents, and all the other documents that help define and help you manufacture your products. So Teamcenter Rapid Start came from the Teamcenter product, which they actually started developing back in the late 80s, and it's a very large product lifecycle management system. But what they did a few years back is they took that basic core technology and they made it more out of the box, easier to configure, so that we've got workflows set up for you, we've got user roles set up for you, and so forth. But it's got about the same requirement in terms of the infrastructure. It requires Microsoft SQL, Oracle, or the DB2 database, and it does require a network infrastructure. And then lastly, which I mentioned earlier, the full Teamcenter I call it a product lifecycle management piece of software, which really addresses more of an enterprise-wide application. It's typically got a large number of users. There's very little out-of-the-box functionality. It is very configurable, but it has that same Teamcenter Rapid Start infrastructure requirements of Microsoft SQL, Oracle, or the DB2 database, and the requirements of a network infrastructure. Kind of looking back a little deeper at these activities and really why they came up with this built-in design manager, which we're going to be focusing on today. If you look at all our Solid Edge customers out there, 60% of them today are not using any type of a data management tool. The other 40% are using the Solid Edge Insight, Solid Edge SP, Solid Edge Teamcenter, and possibly a third-party package. Another way to look at it is the number of users. So a typical customer, 70% of our customers actually have less than 5 licenses of the software, and 30% of the customers have 5 or more licenses. And really that's what we're focusing on with this built-in design management tool. So if, basically the folks that were not using a product data management system at this point, like many of you on the line today probably, a lot of them are using Windows Explorer. They're setting up either product directories or project directories. They may have a released folder. They may have an in-work folder and so forth. And some of them are using the revision manager. What we found that with the revision manager is great for fixing broken links, but typical problems folks have without a design manager or data management tool are the broken links. You might have duplicate files in different places, not understanding which file is the correct file. You can't find files. Revision management is difficult. And it's also difficult to reuse parts and assemblies where you want to do a save as or save as different. And then finally, it's often difficult to collaborate both internally and externally. So the idea, what they came out with in ST9 was first a rewrite of the revision manager. And in ST9 we call that the design manager now. And Sam will get into that and show you a little bit more about it. The idea is, why stop there? Why not add some of the basic functionality, design management functionality to Solid Edge? And then again, we're going to focus on those 1 to 5 seat customers. So that's how they came up with built-in design management. And if you look at that same chart we had earlier with requirements and seat count, it's really at the lower end of the scale in terms of the target. The other thing it doesn't require, as we mentioned earlier, is the SQL database, or any other database for that matter, the IIS for like a web server, or SharePoint. So really, to recap the focus of the Solid Edge built-in design manager, it's focused on those 70% of the folks that currently have 5 or less licenses of Solid Edge. It's focused on the 60% of the folks that aren't using any data management at all. It's in terms of the capabilities, you're going to see it in the presentation. You can get instantaneous searches and where you use reports. You could actually manage your revisions and manage your releases with it. And they've also got an optional tool for both cloud-based vaulting and collaboration. In terms of the requirements needed, there's no additional hardware or software needed. There's no additional infrastructure needed. It's very easy to implement and maintain, and it does offer a full path if for some reason you want to move up to do more of a data management tool, or even an enterprise-wide product lifecycle management tool. It's a very easy workflow to do that. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Sam, who's going to present or demonstrate to you the built-in design manager.
All right, thank you, Steve. And Steve, can you see my screen?
I sure can.
Cool. All right. So, talking about, we're going to go into some of the built-in data management capabilities that Solid Edge ST9 has available to it. And as many of you guys know, whether you're using Solid Edge or using another CAD packages, that when as a design engineer or an engineer, you can create a lot of data very fast. And a great thing in deciding is, how to look for any of that design data after you've created it. And the ability to find that information very quickly can become a valuable asset to your company. What we'll be looking at here are some of the fundamental benefits of having of Solid Edge's built-in design management, how we navigate through the data, do some quick finds, easily make revisions, and collaborate either within a local network, or I'll show you how we can collaborate using a service, cloud service such as Dropbox. So what you're looking at now, this is ST9. This is the way our new splash screen looks if you haven't seen it before. But basically, what we utilize is a folder structure within Windows. If you make a folder structure locally or up on a server, we kind of built-in data management allows you to ease into a managed, quote-unquote, managed environment, how to, get you used to checking in, checking out files, get you used to what we call revising or release for manufacturing of parts, things like that, and even obsolescence at that point. And one of the ways we do is we can build up this folder structure. We can build up a folder structure to hold, our current works in progress, any parts that have been released. It'll hold some of this data in there and automatically put a read-only status on that. And we utilize Windows for the file structure, but we also utilize Windows to help us search against some of the file properties. So one of the things that we do is with ST9 is we have the capability of creating our own custom search criteria that'll search against certain parameters and certain file properties. So for instance, I can do a quick search through my library for anything that has any drawing, part file, assembly that has the word pump in it, and then using the preview options that are available to me in Windows Explorer, I can quickly cycle through some of those components and quickly find what I need to. I can also go in there and modify the behavior or the look of my folder structure to include the custom file property types. So in this instance, I went ahead and added, a column for title, a column for manufacturing type, and I can search against any one of those that I have available to me, or anything that I've, added to a property file within Solid Edge. This simply then incorporates into your Windows indexing that's available through your Microsoft product, or like your OS. The other thing we can do is, like I said, we can define the folder structure. And here I've got a quick little screenshot, but this is what the Solid Edge properties look like. And you can go in and define the area where you have your working files and your released files. So as you're working through your design, every time you save a part, create a new part, it can actually throw this into a folder. And then whenever you use the design manager now and release a part, it'll automatically move that part from one folder to the other, in this case released, without you having to do that extra manual step. So it gives you a little bit of the automation with ST9 and out-of-the-box functionality. So with this, I quickly went in and, I did a quick search for my main assembly, and what I'm using today is what we call a little master mover. It's a little tote, that the little electric tote that's used to move very heavy objects like buses, planes, things like that. And I can right click and send that assembly directly into our design manager, where I can go in and look at the structure of the file. I can access all the data management actions, such as revise, I can move, I can copy, things like that. So if you're used to the older interface, this is a heck of a revamp that they've done. They've integrated a lot of different things into this program and made it easier to use. The other thing that they've done, not only have they exposed some more of the columns of property data, but they've also added the status, what I was calling work in progress and review. I can quickly come in here now and change some of those options. So if you've used Solid Edge and you've never seen these before, it's always been there. They just made it a little more accessible for you to view and actually manipulate each one of these parts now within this. The other cool thing is, because it is now embedded in actual Solid Edge, what I can do is, since there's direct integration now, I can simply come in, get a quick preview of the item I have selected, look at the property data that's associated with it, and then even come over here and automatically start it inside Solid Edge and get it to launch automatically. Within Solid Edge, we do have a new display tab that deals with data management. So I can do a lot of the commands straight from the menu ribbon, where as before, I either had to go into either view and markup and then jump into the revision manager, or go into the file to the menu screen and go down to the properties and have to interrogate it with a lot more mouse clicks. Now it's a little easier to do. Quick, one tab, ready to go. For this demonstration, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be editing the design of this master mover, adding a component, in this case a horn. That way everybody knows that I'm coming through the aisle with one of these. And what I'll be doing is I'll be adding an extra component, extra assembly, and then going through the process, kind of running into some scenarios that, a normal design engineer would on an everyday task of adding a component. So with that, I'll go ahead and zoom in. This horn's going to go bolted onto this bolt here. And the first thing I'll do is, do a quick search. Now, while doing a search, I can define the location of my searching, and I can narrow it down to the folders that I have indexed. And then again, using the property data, I can look for, any horn that I may have saved in my database. And you can see that I've got quite a few of them stored up in here, and I need to narrow down the search a little more. And I can do that, again, using those same property types that I may have defined earlier. So if I want to look for all the assemblies that contain a horn, I'm quickly narrow down my search, and I find the part that I'm looking for. And from this one screen, I can quickly come in and add it into my assembly. Now, just a matter of placing the actual component. Oops, looks like there we go, let's try that again. Let's grab the part. Cool thing is, though, it can save it'll save the last search that you made, so making this quickly, giving me the ability to quickly re-add the component. And there's the horn that I've decided to use. Now I've got it bolted in. Let's go ahead and delete its brother that we're not going to use. So it would be him. Let's go ahead and get rid of him. And I look, and there's a certain, there's some clearance issues between said horn and said motor. So quickly, since I am using Solid Edge, I can go ahead and quickly just kind of drag that dimension over and adjust it. And when I try to do that, the design management capabilities of SE9 come out and give me a quick warning. It's telling me that the following component's read-only. So being read-only can only mean one or two things. It's been released out to manufacturing, or it's an obsolete part. And if I look over here at my Pathfinder, this check mark indicates a status of released. So saving me some trouble later on in editing a part that's already being produced out in the shop and making a change without anybody noticing, I've saved myself, Solid Edge has saved me from one headache. So now, armed with that information, what I can do is I can now quickly go in here and I know this part is read-only, so I know it's been released on production, but I want to know if it's being used in any other assembly. So going to the data management tab, I can quickly do a where used and see that this particular component is only being referenced in one draft file. So it has a draft file associated with it, but it's not being used in any other assembly. So if I make a change to this, again, I'm not affecting any other component that may be needed or were manufacturing at the time. So cool, dodged a bullet there. So now I've got two options: create a new part or revise it. Well, using the data management tab, I can quickly go in and choose revise. And as I revise the part, what I can do is notice that Solid Edge automatically generates the next revision letter for me. And I can quickly go in and save, and what it does is it swaps one version out for the other. So now I'm dealing with revision B, and now I can come in and make my change. If I needed to move this up the 11 millimeters to make room for the horn and not hit the other component, I can quickly now go do that. And now I can go ahead and double check my work here. And I notice that, I've cleared it, but cleared it by just a hair. So I'm gonna have to do some more editing. Now I do have the option, I can go back and remess with the part right here, but I want to go ahead and try something else and show you some other functionality. In this instance, I'm going to modify the attaching component that I have over here, the mounting plate. I'm gonna change it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out this particular part over here for a different one, so I can have more clearance. So instead of revising a part, I'm going to replace it with an entirely new component. And Solid Edge makes that easy for me, so I can quickly go in and go in and take a look. Okay, this part's part of the chassis. Say, let's go ahead and what's the last number that's being used. I can go in and try to sort through the entire thing. If I try it and guess, this is maybe also a problem. Like, well, what's the last number being used? I can filter through 5 or 6 different directories trying to find what's the last number used. I could guess and say, well, if this is the next number being used, I could guess at it. Or the cool thing is, what I can do is, if I do choose, let me redo that right quick. Let me replace it with a copy and say I go, say I do pick 49 again. Solid Edge will come back and tell me, hey, you used this part number is being used again. You need to use the next one in line. So again, saves me from accidentally making duplicate part numbers within the system. It'll automatically tell me, since it is actively indexing each one of those directories, I could go in and use either a number generator. This one comes with ST9, and I can quickly put in the next number in queue, add the prefix, add the suffix that I need it. In this case, we're using 003s. And it's automatically putting in my work directory because I am using it. So I can also change around the revision letter, get it back to A, because that's what I want to use. And I can save it back to the actual assembly, swaps it out for me, and now I can go in and make that change. So in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this particular face and this particular hole, move it up and make clearance add some more clearance for this horn. So let me zoom out. Let me go ahead and make things a little easier on myself. There we go. And we'll move that up about 1 millimeter or 2. Give myself a little more clearance. And I can come over here and double check. using some of the visualization tools. Come here and double check and make sure I got enough clearance between the horn. If I'm not satisfied, again, using the tools available to me, I can quickly go in and, you know what, I think 8's going to look a little better. There we go, that looks good. And then return to my assembly. So again, I've revised a part, I've replaced a component with a brand new component within my assembly, again, using my data management tools. If you notice, if I turn back on the covers, say I needed to add some more room I needed to remake my cover and make some appropriate, make some changes to accommodate the horn. If I look at my Pathfinder, somebody else has this checked out. So Solid Edge will tell me who it's being checked out by and which components are being checked out. So I can see 2 of my assemblies are checked out by Greg. He's currently working on those. He's added a lock to those, and now I can try to open it up and request access to those files. But first he'll have to go in and check them in himself, and then I can go in and check them out, hence keeping us from overwriting each other's work. That works great within the office. It also works great within, say we're going ahead and, we want to manage and collaborate on some work over, say, Dropbox. If say we're sharing files, or there's another location that's using Solid Edge, and we just happen to share folders over that, we can now do that within Solid Edge. You can do that with Design Manager. So if I take a look at this particular assembly here, say we're collaborating and we're working on this together, what I can do is, going back to the Data Management tab, I can now load this assembly directly from Solid Edge. It saves me an extra step. So if I actually go in here and open this guy up, let's go ahead and load him up right here. There we go. I can send him directly into my Design Manager, and it'll automatically load the structure. And again, from here, I can quickly come in and highlight all the parts. I can, collapse, expand, but mainly what I can do is I can move the entire directory structure, or move the entire product from one place to another, or I can copy it too if you feel more inclined. But what I can do is I can move it all out to my Dropbox folder, and if it has the same folder structure that I have using on my, that I'm employing on my local directory, what I can do is I can go ahead and move all those components over, and then once it syncs up to Dropbox, what I can do is then everybody can collaborate. It's part of my group that I've let in and given permission to. We can all collaborate on the parts, on the assemblies, and work on them, and then when we're done, we can either move it back to the local server and then take it off our Dropbox and open it up for something else. But it helps you with that aspect. You could also use Pack and Go, which is a new in a component that was added into Design Manager, but helps with the collaboration and helps with the sharing and usage of files within the basic design management that's used with ST9. And to set this up doesn't take long. Like I said, there's a couple options, and we can get to that here in a little bit. If you got any questions on that, please let me know. That's my portion of the demo, and turn it over to Steve.
Okay, so I believe at this point in time, we're going to answer any questions that you've had. Elise, do we have any questions out there yet?
Yes, we do actually have a couple questions. I think, Sam, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but you said that the BiDM uses Windows indexing. Can you explain kind of exactly how that works?
Yeah, so let me show you the
I'm actually going to put, sorry, let me put you back on the screen share.
Yeah.
I switched it back to Steve.
Oh, there we go.
This will work a little better.
All right. Can you see there?
Yes, we're good.
See my screen? Okay, cool. So within the Solid Edge options, I can go in there and mess with some of this stuff. They've added in 2 properties. The first one is, I've showed you the file locations. So this is where you specify which is going to be your working directory and which is going to be your release directory. So as you use the the data management tool to release components, it actually moves it from your work in progress over to your released. And that's what these little folders, these little guys over here, these were some test parts that I did earlier today using the design manager, and all I did was change the status. As the part came in, I came over and clicked on the drop down and said you were released, and it moved it from one spot to another. That's pretty much fast and painless as it is. It's pretty quick, basically doing A, B, perform the task, and you can see it'll move it from one folder to another, maintaining all the links and things like that so nothing breaks. The other aspect is your fast property search. This is where you tell Solid Edge and Windows, what are the extra file properties you want to search against. And you can set up your own. So in this case, remember I added in manufacturing type, and I look for assembled. You can add in as many as you want. This is a text file, it gets added in. But the Windows indexing service is right down here. You can set your locations, and all you have to do is specify a folder that you're storing, the top level folder where you're storing all your design work. You just add that to your indexing place, and it ties it into Solid Edge, and you're off and running. And there's ways you can set it up locally, and there's ways that we can go through and set this up on an actual server. We can do either or. It just depends on how you have your data set up and how you want your folder structure set up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sam. The other question, again, I think you did touch on it a little bit, was how long does it take to implement the BiDM, and is this a service that we provide?
Yeah, it takes about a day, day and a half, depending on how much data you have, and it depends on how much data you have and how much. If you have a folder structure already, how we can best get that to work with the Windows indexing service. And we can do that via either over the web or even on site if needed, but we can show you how to do that locally or running the indexing service off a server. There's an extra component that we install from the CDs, but it's no big deal. But yeah, we can do that. We offer that service, so we can set it up, and it usually takes about a day and a half.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sam. So that kind of ends our demo. And we're going to go. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today's session. As a reminder, if your question was not answered during the presentation, please know that I will get them all sent over to Sam, and he will reach out to you via phone or email to make sure that that you have an answer to your question. Once again, we are actually having another session. This is a two-part series, so if you can join us for our second part in the Solid Edge and Teamcenter Project Management series, this will be hosted on Wednesday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. And we will be showing you the capabilities of Teamcenter Rapid Start, which provides you the collaborative design management functionality that your engineering team needs to manage data, design data, and communicate both internally and externally through your organization. You can reach the same link if you just click on the same class that we had. And again, I really do appreciate you all showing up, and hopefully we will see you at our next session. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Steve, for presenting this today.
All right, thank you.